Hi, I'm Marcella and this is Feel the News. So last night, protesters burned down the Minneapolis 3rd Precinct police station as part of the ongoing protest of the death of George Floyd, who was murdered by a police officer. How should you feel about that? You should be heartbroken that Black people are constantly dehumanized and oppressed by American institutions, and you should support the rebellion against police brutality. Now, there have been a lot of people disparaging the rioting, but rioting, or as I'm going to start calling it, rebellion, is an American tradition. There is nothing more American than standing up to the oppressor and telling them you will not stand for oppression. When a bunch of rich, slave-owning white dudes were tired of paying taxes without representation, they started a whole ass revolution to fight for freedom, while ironically denying an entire group of people their freedom. Looks like things haven't changed much, like white people back then were also fighting for freedom from inconveniences. In this case, it was taxes, not haircuts, while admonishing Black people, slaves, who were literally fighting for their right to live. Can you imagine the nerve of claiming that you are being oppressed when you actually own people? To be fair, though, the American colonies didn't just rebel because of taxes. They also rebelled because of the presence of the British Army in the colonies. So, let me get this straight. They were upset because they felt like they were being over-policed. Oh wow, you mean white people didn't like it when there was police presence around them? I mean, yeah, they also had to feed and take care of their army. But our taxes are paying for the police who oppress us, so samesies. The reality, though, is that George Washington and his buddies were not being murdered by the police, aka British officers, right and left. The only time that happened was the Boston Massacre. British troops killed 5 people. Those soldiers were arrested the next day and charged with murder. Like, they did that because they knew if they didn't, the people of Boston would have burned down that city. So, while George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's murderers are out there, the government expects peace. You're right, they wouldn't have done that either. Other than the Boston Massacre, the colonies weren't under constant attack from the British. They were not fighting for their right to live, and the constant dehumanization every day that Black people in America have to deal with. They were fighting for self-governance, which is super cute because after the end of the revolution, Black people were still slaves and only rich land-owning white men were allowed to vote. Nonetheless, my point is that the American colonies would not stand for oppression, and neither will Black Americans. And I don't know what's more American than that. And that's how you should feel about that news. And if you like this video, share it with your friends and make sure you follow at Feel the News on Instagram. Bye!